The appearance of Root at eruditorum.org in the cell right next to Randy's is like the crowning plot twist in this Punch and Judy show that has been performed for his benefit ever since his plane landed at Naya. There is a meal waiting on the floor of Randy's cell and a rat on top of the meal. Randy usually reacts pretty badly to the sight of rats. They rupture the containment system that his upbringing and his education built around the part of his mind where the collective unconscious stuff dwells, and send him straight into Hieronymus Bosch territory. But in these circumstances, it doesn't bother him any more than seeing one at the zoo would. Randy is hungry, but he doesn't want to eat anything that a rat has left footprints on, so he just watches it. His body feels like it slept for a long time. He turns on his computer and types in a command called date. Date tells him that he apparently slept all of yesterday afternoon and evening, all night and about half of today. So this rat is actually eating his lunch. Randy's computer runs Finex. So when it boots up, it gives him a black screen with big fat white letters scrolling up at one line at a time. A real circa 1975 type of user interface. Also, presumably, the easiest possible thing to read through Van Eck Phreaking. Randy types in Start X, and the screen goes black for a moment and then turns a particular shade of indigo that Randy happens to like, and beige windows appear on it with much smaller and crisper black letters. So now he is running the X Windows system, or X as people like Randy call it, which provides all of the graphical junk that people expect in a user interface. Menus, buttons, scroll bars, and so on. As with anything else under Unix, of which Finex is a variant, there are a million options that only young, lonely, or obsessed people have the time and patience to explore. Randy has been all three at various times of his life and knows a lot about these options. For example, the background of his screen happens to be a uniform indigo at the moment, but it could be an image. Theoretically, you could use a movie so that all of your windows and menus and so on would float around on top of, say, Citizen Kane running in an endless loop. You can, in fact, take any piece of software and make it into your screen background, and it will purr along happily, doing whatever it does and not even known that it's being used as window dressing. This has given Randy some ideas on how to approach the Van Eck thing. In its current state, this computer is just as vulnerable to Van Eck Phreaking as it was before Randy started up X. Before, it was white letters on a black background. Now it's black on beige. The letters are a little smaller and they live in Windows, but it makes no difference. The electronics inside his computer still have to make these transitions between 0 and 1, that is, between high intensity, white or beige, and minimal, black, as they trace out these patterns of dots on the screen. Randy fundamentally does not know what the fuck is going on in his life right now, and probably hasn't for a long time, even back in the days when he thought that he did know. But his working hypothesis is that the people who set this whole situation up, prime candidates, the dentist and his cohorts in the Bolo Bolo Syndicate, know that he has some cool information on his hard drive. How should they know this? Well, Pontifex, the wizard, Enoch Root, whatever the fuck he's called, when he phoned Randy on the plane, knew that Randy had Arethusa, so God knows who else might know. Someone set up the fake drug bust at Naya so that they could nab his laptop and yank the hard drive and make a copy of its contents. Then they found out that it was all doubly encrypted. That is, the Arethusa intercepts are encrypted to begin with in a pretty good World War II cryptosystem, which anyone should be able to break nowadays, but on top of that, they are furthermore encrypted in a state-of-the-art modern system that no one can break. If they know what's good for them, they won't even try to break it. The only way for them to get the information is to get Randy to decrypt it for them, which he can do by biometrically identifying himself to his laptop, by talking to it, or by typing in a passphrase that only he knows. They are hoping that Randy will decrypt the Arethusa intercept files and, like a moron, display their contents on the screen. The moment that stuff appears on the screen, the game is over. The dentists, or whoever's surveillance guys, can feed the intercepts to some kind of cryptanalytic supercomputer that will break them open in no time. That doesn't mean that Randy dare not open those files, just that he daren't display them on the screen. This distinction is crucial. Ordo can read the encrypted files from the hard drive. It can write them into the computer's memory. It can decrypt them and write the results into another region of the computer's memory and leave that data there indefinitely, and the Van Eck freakers will never be the wiser. But as soon as Randy tells the computer to show him that information in a window on the screen, the Arethusa intercepts will belong to the Van Eck freakers, and whoever they are, they can probably break them faster than Randy can. The fun and interesting thing is that Randy doesn't have to actually see those intercepts in order to work on them. As long as they are sitting in the computer's memory, he can subject them to every cryptanalytic technique in the whole Cryptonomicon. He starts tapping out some lines in a language called Perl. Perl's a scripting language, useful for controlling your computer's functions and automating repetitive tasks. A Unix machine like this one is rooted in a file system that contains tens of thousands of different files, mostly in straight ASCII text format. There are many different programs for opening these files, displaying them on the screen, and editing them. Randy intends to write a Perl script that will roam through the file system, choosing files at random, opening each file in a randomly sized and located window, paging through it for a while, and then closing it again. If you run the script fast enough, the windows will pop open all over the place in a kind of rectangularized fireworks burst that will go on forever. If this script is used as the screen background, in place of solid indigo, then this will go on underneath the one window on the screen where Randy's actually working. The people monitoring his work will go crazy trying to track all of this, especially if Randy writes a script that will cause the real window to change its shape and location at random every few seconds. It would be really stupid to open the Arethusa intercepts in a window. He's not going to do that. But he can use this technique to conceal whatever else he's doing in the way of decryption work. It occurs to him, however, when he gets a few lines into writing this Perl script, that if he pulls a stunt like that so early in his incarceration, the people surveilling him will know right away that he is onto them. And maybe it's better if he lets them believe, for a while, that he suspects nothing. So he saves his Perl script and stops working on it for now. If he writes it in short bursts, opening it once or twice a day to type in a few lines and then closing it, it's unlikely that the surveillors will be able to follow what he's up to, even if they happen to be hackers. Just to be an asshole, he modifies his X Windows options in such a way that none of the windows on the screen will have a title bar at the top. That way, the surveillance people won't be able to tell what file he is working on at any given moment, which will make it a lot harder for them to string a long series of observations together into a coherent picture of what's in his Perl script.